Master's birthday to all of you. Let's begin our evening with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Great Masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lady Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, Beloved Guru Deva, Paramahansa Yoganandaji, Saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. O beloved Master, we honor thee at this, the time of thy birth. We lay the flowers of our devotion and our love at thy feet. We are thy disciples, thy children. Bless us with thy divine touch, thy divine presence. We are thine. Be thou eternally ours. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I'd like to start this evening with a reading from Songs of the Soul. It's a poem written by Master when I take the vow of silence. And it talks of his continuous presence with us, even after leaving the body. When I take the vow of silence to remain enlocked with my beloved, in the arms of his everywhereness, I shall be busy listening to his symphony of creation's bliss songs and beholding hidden wondrous visions. Yet I shall not be oblivious of you all. I shall mutely watch you walking over me in the fresh grass blades and seeing me in my living leafy presences. I shall behold you with mothering tenderness through every crimson blossom that wears a blush of love to bring you delight. I shall caress you with the enfolding breeze to relieve your worries and fears, and enwrap you in warm sun. When the chill of delusive loneliness strays into your heart, when you gaze at the ocean, you will be looking right at me, united with my beloved on the altar of the horizon, sky canopied with silver rays o'er the azure, wavy, hazy sanctuary. I shall not speak except through your reason, nor scold except through your conscience. I shall persuade only through your love and your heart's longing to seek the beloved only. I shall tempt you, but with the sole temptation to enjoy the beloved's love alone. Forget me if you will, but not my beloved. Remembering him, you cannot forget me. Om Shanti, Shanti. It's such a wonderful time, this time of Master's birthday, of New Year's, of Christmas. We've been having many very deep meditations and celebrations honoring these great ones at this time. And what are we really honoring? And who? A great avatar, one who had achieved oneness with God, who had achieved full union, who had united his consciousness with the divine consciousness, like the wave merging with the ocean of God, of light, of joy, of bliss. And Master, and any great master, because God really is the guru, through that open, completely open channel, as Paramahansa Yoganandaji said, I killed Yogananda long ago. No one dwells in this temple now but God. And so he was a completely open channel for the light, for the joy, for God's power, for energy, and for all the beautiful qualities. And he stood on this earth where we are now with those vibrations, with that level of attunement. And more than anything, the vibrations are the most important thing that Guruji brought, and any great master can bring. Yes, he brought teachings that are fantastic, life-changing, and he brought techniques, and those are everlasting on this earth plane, but also the vibrations of a master are everlasting. And this is why we go to pilgrimage spots. I myself have gone to Babaji's cave and various places where great masters have lived. And there are vibrations which are what? They're vibrations of light, of consciousness of God, of love for God, of devotion. And this is what we seek to draw into ourselves. And so Paramahansa Yoganandaji, when he came, he brought these aspects of God so that we could see through the mirror of his life what God is like, in light, in bliss, in everything. And through being in contact with him then and now, we get a glimpse of what God is like, what Divine Mother is like. And Guruji often had visions of God, and where he would speak, the devotees could hear his side of the conversation, and he just would repeatedly say how beautiful the Divine Mother was and how much he loved her. And this is what, it's such a wonderful thing to remember, that he brought that experience and the teachings and the techniques so that we too could have that communion with God and meditation every day. And this is why we honor our Guru and any great master, because they brought the way to God. And his life affected people so deeply. There was a man who, Master was on a train traveling, and there was a black waiter who usually served his table where he was in the dining car. And one time this man wasn't able to because Master had sat somewhere else and another man was serving him, and the man went to him, and he had tears in his eyes, and he wanted so much to serve him because of what he felt, and he asked him, "What do you have that I want?" And Master, in one way or another, showed him how to go inside and taste the bliss that he had and that he gave everywhere. There's a humorous story of a man who was sort of tipsy. He had been drinking, and he came up to Yoganandaji and he says, "Oh, hello, Jesus Christ." And his master had long hair, and actually he did sort of look like Jesus Christ, and so Master just gave him a touch of his bliss, and the man said, "Hey, what you been drinking?" And Master said, "It has a lot of kick in it." And he went around distributing that drink to everybody who he met all the time, because he was in cosmic consciousness. And there's the beauty of an avatar's life is that they bring the way that we too can go into cosmic consciousness. They've been there already and are in that state and come to guide us to that state. And so we could ask, do I really need a guru? What is a guru for? I am my own guru. Some people say I don't need anybody else. Well, it's been stated pretty clearly in the scriptures, and particularly I remember Swamiji saying many times that, no, you don't need a guru unless you want to find God. If you want to be on your own and wander and all, that's fine. But if you really want to find God, guru means dispeller of darkness. And a Satguru is one who is a guru of truth, completely united with God. And all of our masters were avatars as well, sent particularly back to give the teachings that how we all can uplift our consciousness. And so Master came with that vibration to give to everyone. And for those of us who are his disciples, and I think I'm talking to many of you who are watching, what a great, great gift. I think we will have no idea what great a gift it is until we are no longer in these bodies on this plane. But the gift of a lifetime where you have come under the guidance, the blessings of one, such a one, who has found God, and under the direction of a direct disciple, it's a rare occurrence, and it happens to few people. And we become the children of the Master. We become Master's spiritual, and Babaji's and Lahiri Mahashai's, their spiritual heir, to whom they want to give. It's such an important thing to remember that the masters want to give their spiritual wealth. This is why they come. They want to give their consciousness, their joy. They want to give their help people to see God in the light, the spiritual eye, as Guruji did with Dr. Lewis. He was able to see the light there and merge with that light, really. And Master showed him the light at the 1,000-petaled lotus, very first meeting. He wanted to give that. When Swami Kriyanandaji came to Master, he put his finger on his heart and his whole arm vibrated for 2 minutes. And Swamiji said he was completely changed. From that moment, the Master comes to change our consciousness. Guruji said, I will give you lots of my good karma so that you can get through. And we must realize that no matter what we do, I often in my meditations wonder, well, who's really meditating here? Am I the one meditating? And who's really going to give us enlightenment? Or how am I really going to go deep into the spiritual eye? Or how am I going to go into Om Samadhi? How is that going to happen, Sabhikalpa or Nirvikalpa? Do you put yourself into these states? Well, you're greatly mistaken if you think you do, because Guruji clearly said 25% of the path is the efforts of the disciple. 25% the Guru gives his power to change to the disciple, and 50% is grace. We open ourselves so that the grace can pour in and change our whole beings. Swamiji once, Kriyanandaji, Master had told him to change in a particular way to get more devotion. And so Swamiji, he prayed for devotion, he got a harmonium, he chanted, and then after a while he thought, yes, I'm doing pretty good now. And he heard from one of the disciples that Master said to them about Swamiji. He called him Walter. He says, look how I have changed Walter. And really think about it. Who's made the changes? Have you made the changes? People go for counseling and they go to psychics and astrologers and so many people to try to make changes, but they're not lasting changes. The lasting changes I have found in my life have come only through God and Guru's grace. My efforts to open myself, but the flow of that grace is what burns up the karma. I remember a time when I was going through a deep struggle in my life, and I went to Swami Kriyanandaji and I told him about it, and he very sweetly said, and I knew he knew what I was going through, he just said, it's going to be just fine. And I said, well, Swamiji, I'm doing more kriyas, I'm serving the best way I can, I'm meditating more, I'm doing everything, I'm reading, I'm chanting. And he said, don't worry, everything will be fine. And then what happened was very, very interesting. I went home and I mean, I believed him and I believed in him. But I just wondered, how was I going to feel better tomorrow? It just seemed impossible to me. And I went home, I went to bed, and lo and behold, the very next day when I got up, I felt like the karma had gone. And that's the one time that really stands out in my mind, that I knew I didn't do anything more myself than what I was doing. But because of Master, when I went to Swamiji and I said, Swamiji, thank you so much for helping me. And he said, I didn't help you, Master helped you. And I thought, oh, that's saying quite a lot. And I think we all should keep in mind that he's the power behind any change we make in our life. And God is behind Guru. And when we come for Kriya blessing, or purification blessing, or discipleship blessing, or Sunday Satsang, or whatever it is, we have to remember that it's God's power flowing that's entering your being, and it's changing your karma, it's changing your whole consciousness, it's changing your whole being. And so Master spoke mostly to the disciples about attunement. Attunement, and he said when things get hard, get even more in tune. And that attunement is something that has to be cultivated. It's not something that you're born with attunement. Maybe you are born with attunement, but it has to be uncovered. And so to be in tune, we have to meditate for one. I would say practice the teachings of the Guru to be in tune with the Guru. Do energization, all the various things. Remember, Jnanamata, even from a wheelchair, did energization. And she did the parts that she could do. She had been bedridden for some 20 years. And but Master said to do it, and she did it. And the other thing is that she, someone called, and then the phone rang, and another sister, nun, answered, and she said something kind of quietly over the phone. And afterwards, Jnanamata said, well, who was that? And she said, oh, well, that was Master, and he wanted you to do something, but I told him that you weren't feeling that well. She said, listen, when he calls me, you say yes and make it snappy. And that's the spirit of the disciple, that don't make excuses continuously. I would, but I can't. It was too early. It's cold in the morning. I can't get to meditation. This is so, I've told you many times, but it's jokingly, but I think maybe one day I'll do it, write the book of excuses, because there are so many excuses. As a disciple, you have to learn to say yes. Say yes to life. And I would say one of the greatest blessings I've had in my life is I've had the ability to say yes when I didn't know what was going to happen. And saying yes, the door opens and you feel the power of God coming in, making it all work. And so, you know, for decades now, I've been serving in various places and just doing the best way possible, but somehow it always worked out. And I'm going to tell you something that was very interesting to me just recently, that we just had Kriya here, as maybe I said that before, but we had it in Hindi this time, just 2-3 days ago. And a week before that, I felt Master saying, well, first I said, well, it definitely should be in Hindi and it should be translated. And so I was trying to figure out which parts to translate and which parts, you know, the person translating would just say to people. And then it came so strongly in my mind, why don't you say it? in Hindi. And mind you, I've been studying Hindi for, I'm sort of embarrassed to say, but at least 10 years. And I can speak, but to talk in a class, or my God, a Kriya, it's quite bold. And so it came to me so strongly, and I knew it was Master's, it was his wish that I do it. And I said, Master, I'll offer it for your birthday. And so it took, I had a week, and so I got, all what I needed, apps on my phone to get the words right and everything, and I worked on it, and worked on it, and worked on it. And something very interesting happened on 2 days before the ceremony, that some people said to me, well, maybe you shouldn't speak in Hindi, because you don't speak that well. You have an accent. They went on, and maybe people won't understand. And I thought, that doesn't sound right to me. And I said, did Master have an accent when he went to America? They said, yes. And I said, he didn't speak English that well, did he? Well, I guess he didn't. But anyway, there was just this seed of discouragement. And it was, honestly, I felt it was a force saying, don't do it. And not a positive force, a negative force, don't do it. And I kept thinking, why wouldn't I do it? I mean, even if I have to read it, why wouldn't I do it? And so the next day, a friend came over, and God bless her, she came and just said, no, of course you're going to do this. And in my mind, I had the thought, I heard Master saying, not hear, his voice, but it was a thought, I'm the guru here. Who are you going to listen to, them or me? And in our lives, we have to remember, he's the guru guiding our lives. We're going to listen to what everybody else says, or are you going to follow, be in tune and follow what you feel is right? Thus, I went forward, and one part of me was very joyful going in the room, and one part was terrified, but I went ahead because I felt Master wants me to do it. And I'm going to do it. And I did do it. And I felt his blessing afterwards, and many doors opening to do more of that. So I told that story so you realize that there are a lot of voices out there, and they're not always right. You have to tune in to what the Guru is telling you to do in your own life. And that doesn't come easily. You have to meditate, feel his vibrations, and start. Just begin and see if you feel a certain feeling of, for me there wasn't any excitement or any feeling like that at the Kriya. It was just very deep, very calm. And that's how I knew it was right. And so in your heart you'll feel a calmness, you'll feel a blessing there. It's like he's blessing you to do that particular thing. If it's teaching yoga classes, or going out into the schools and teaching, or whatever it might be, playing the harmonium, chanting, singing in the choir. There's so many ways, but we have to open ourselves to what does the Guru want from me? And there's so many various things one can do. And as we serve, I remember I heard on a talk by Swamiji recently that he was saying, it was last night at our program actually, and Swamiji was, our Master Swamiji was saying that there was a man who was, that he knew, and the man had been serving quite a lot, and he was growing, and he was glowing, and he was strong, and he was magnetic, and didn't seem to have as many difficulties and all. And then he stopped, and Swamiji said he just lost the glow. He lost the energy. He lost the inspiration. He lost the joy. So we think, not just in meditation, but in our daily lives, we can find some way to give, to serve. I see the people around here, and we're in Gargan, as you know, but those who are serving, they're glowing. It's just such a big difference. There's a glow and a shine there. And that's Master's glow. That's what I'm realizing. Did you put that glow on yourself? That's Master's glow. And it means that he's using you as an instrument. And Swamiji had quoted from, I believe, the Bhagavad Gita. He said, all of Krishna's soldiers looked like Krishna. And, you know, all of the disciples of Master, we can take on the qualities that he had. And those qualities are very particular. They were joyfulness. You don't see people around Ananda with hanging down their head and moaning and groaning that they've been on the path 20 years and nothing ever happened. I mean, in all of our meetings that we have, it's just so much joy there. We had one staff meeting. You'd normally have somebody who's glum and, you know, now we're going to do this, but we were just so happy to serve. And this comes from attunement with the Guru. And then there's magnetism, his magnetism to draw the center we have. I mean, it's a big, huge, beautiful place. To draw the ashram that we have, to draw the wonderful people that come here, all the things that are needed. Who gives you that magnetism? Think about it. I give my own magnetism? Well, you don't. It's because of the attunement with the ray of blessings and grace and light that we like lift our antenna and we catch that vibration. And the inspiration that one feels, that comes from God. It comes from above. It's thoughts come, that are thoughts that come, and I've had certain thoughts and I just knew that wasn't my thought. And Master said, thoughts are universally rooted, not individually. But you can catch thoughts, answers, insights, solutions by just being in tune. So people think a guru comes and I'm just there to sit there at his feet and he'll pat me and say, you're doing a good job. Well, I haven't seen that that was the case. I've seen that as I continue to put out a force field of energy in everything that I did, that I felt another huge energy behind me pushing the thing through. And the inspiration, if I just tried some inspiration, read something and tried to give, if I had to give a talk, I'd just say, well, maybe these are the things I should say. Then you feel this force field, just shoving the words out of your mouth, so to speak. Say it. And whatever you're involved in, you feel, if you're doing a business or whatever, you should just always pray before. We pray before everything, pray before the meals, pray before meeting. Maybe that's why we're so joyful at the meetings, because we always pray before. And you should always think that I want to be in tune with Master, with Babaji, with all the line of masters, God through them. And everything I do, everything I say, I want to be in tune with them. Make that your vow for this year. Every day I make that prayer, please help me to be in tune. And you get that by being with other disciples who are in tune, reading Master's books, Swamiji's, listening to their talks, coming to the satsangs, coming to these kind of satsangs. If you can't come in person, come online. Go onto the website. There's so many wonderful offerings there that you can receive. And so listening to Master's voice, his talks, Swamiji's talks, all of these things strengthen, enliven. When Master said, to those who think me near, I will be near. Think is a verb. This is what people forget. They think, well, I just sort of, is somebody around? There's nobody around. Think means put out the energy, go halfway, meet him with enthusiasm, with joyfulness. Meet him with, I'm willing, I want to do it. What can I do? I want to help. How can I serve? What can I do? How can I meditate better? And as we meditate, to think, meditate through me. How do I know how to get to these high states of consciousness? Master, meditate through me. Show me the light. Let me hear the Om. Light up the chakras. There's a beautiful story of, I can't remember what, one of the disciples, Durga Ma. And she was away at Christmas time, and Master, he, was there with all the disciples, and so she wrote him and says, I'm just a little sorry that I wasn't there for, I'm not there, it hadn't happened yet, I guess, I'm not there for Christmas and the Christmas tree and all the presents and everything. And I think he told her on the phone, or he may have written her a note, but he says, I'll give you a Christmas tree. So he lit all the chakras, and she saw multicolors in her meditation, and she realized that the real Christmas had nothing to do with the tree, that it was all inside. And so here again, tuning in and asking and opening oneself up, I think those are the most important things. Opening oneself up. And we all know the story of the man who came to Yoganandaji, who he wanted to know about God, and he had so many questions. And honestly, I used to have so many questions too, and I was like him. I write them all down. Whoever was available, I would go and I'd ask my questions. And honestly, I didn't understand anything because my consciousness just wasn't expanded enough. So this man would come, and he came and he asked Master with this question. Master said, simply to love God. What a beautiful answer. I mean, someone can go forever on that, one question, talk on and on. And the man thought, well, he didn't understand. So he asked the second question. Master just says, love God. And then the third time, Master realized, this man's not going to get anywhere. He said, love God. Guruji just walked out of the room. Because until you're soft, until your heart is open to God, nothing will happen. No deep experience. You won't feel the Master's presence. But we can open ourselves through all the things that I've said. And also, in the purification ceremony, the beautiful words are, the Master says, open your heart to me and I will enter. That's a beautiful line. I will enter and take charge of your life. And I think we forget. As we can open as much as we can, and he will enter, the Master will enter and take charge of your life. And that's why Masters come. They're not looking for disciples. They don't want people, coming to them who come for wrong reasons. Yoganandaji and all the great ones come to show us how great we really are. Behind this little life, little personality. I had a very interesting thing I'd tell you about that. I said to Swamiji once, and I knew it was Master's blessing, because Swamiji has sent me, and I've been living and helping, serving in Italy, and Africa, and Australia, and of course America, and now in India. And one day before Swamiji's passing, he's still here with us in Gargan. I just went to him. I said, Swamiji, I don't feel like I'm African American anymore. I said, I just feel universal. I feel like it can go anywhere, it can be with anyone. I don't feel the limitation. And he just said, very good. And all of us, we have limitations of, I'm a woman, or I'm Indian, I gotta have curry. I'm American, I gotta have apple pie. There's so many things we've gotta have. But in these years to come, and I'm speaking more personally tonight, in these years to come, I'm trying to get rid of the things I have to have. Peel away all the things, the self-definitions, a bundle of self-definitions that keep you bound. This is why a guru comes. What a great blessing to have warranted, merited that these great masters are taking charge of our lives and are showing us the way to free ourselves from every possible limitation so that we can lift up and join them, meet them, see them, be with them, rejoice with them. This is the meaning of the birth of a great avatar. This is why Yoganandaji came to this earth. God bless you all. I'll close now with a very short reading from the Bhagavad Gita. This is a beautiful story, and after this we'll meditate together just a few minutes about Swami Shankara. Swami Shankara was standing on the other side of a river from a close disciple of his. My guru once described to me what happened. I still remember his understated facial expression, the subtle hand gesture, and the quiet tone of voice with which he related this part of the story. Shankara called gently to his disciple, "Come over here." Most people would have looked around for a boat. This disciple, however, placed a foot unhesitatingly on the water. The moment he did so, a lotus leaf appeared beneath his foot and supported it. With each successive step, another leaf appeared. The disciple quickly reached the other side. From then on, he became known as Padma Pada, lotus feet. Let's just meditate a moment together. Feel the deep blessings of this time and open yourself to those blessings coming into your heart, your mind, your soul, your whole being. We'll meditate just a couple of minutes. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.